Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to take a deep dive into Palantir's latest quarterly earnings call and try and figure out what's going on with Palantir stock. Why was the stock up more than double digits after these figures were announced and after these earnings were made public? So let's get right into it. And if you weren't aware, these were out February 13th. 2023, so just a couple of days ago. Starting with the company's chief revenue officer and chief legal officer, Ryan Taylor, saying that after nearly 2 decades, our company finally achieved GAAP profitability for the first time last quarter. And this was the big news out of the earnings announcement that the company finally achieved GAAP profitability. Now, earnings per share was a whole incredibly whopping 1 penny, but still it was positive, and that's a start, and that's something that the company can build on, and that was the big news that came out of the report. In the fourth quarter, we generated 509 million in revenue and 79 million in cash from operations, marking our eighth consecutive quarter in positive cash from operations. This is where the company's done an excellent job in expanding its cash flow from operations. I know I gave it a bit of a hard time about having earnings per share of just 1 penny, but the company's been doing a really good job in the last 3 years or so, really improving on cash flow from operations, improving on its operating margin as revenue has grown, and they've done an excellent job controlling costs. So all of these have worked together to finally deliver earnings per share in its most recent quarter. We ended the quarter with 143 US commercial customers, an increase of 79% year over year. That's big news. That's big news for Palantir because the company is so reliant on the US government for over 40% of its revenue. The fact that it's growing this commercial side of the business is good news, and it decreases concentration risk, because what if the US government finds another supplier that may not be as good as Palantir but might be a lot less expensive and chooses to switch? Palantir is going to be in a whole world of hurt if that happens, losing just one customer. So by diversifying its customer base, it's also reducing the riskiness of the business. We are deploying increasingly focused go-to-market strategies, including in the healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, energy, automotive, and utility sectors. These are all areas where, if those enterprises can find even marginal incremental improvements in their processes, then employing Palantir's services could be worthwhile, right? They wouldn't mind paying Palantir $10 million dollars if Palantir can deliver them 20, 30, $40 million in savings or improvements. So these are areas where Palantir is making inroads and continue making inroads if it can find a way to continue delivering its excellent quality, but also at the same time lowering the prices, lowering the cost, and that way it can expand its opportunity to more customers, right? Because not every customer can afford $5 million, $2 million, $10 million to employ Palantir services. Similarly, international commercial business grew, but only 11% in the fourth quarter, much more modest growth compared to the US commercial business. Their government business overall saw growth across the board, as we generated 293 million in revenue in the past quarter from governments, an increase of 23% year over year. The US government being its strongest, most significant concentration of revenue. And moving on to Palantir's CTO and Executive Vice President. This cornerstone of our product vision is that your business is computable, but just because it's computable doesn't mean you know how to compute it. So I hope that Palantir doesn't try to attract clients by telling them, hey, your business is computable, but you don't know how to do it. I don't know how well that will go over with clients. Imagine, I know some of you that are watching have businesses. Imagine a salesman comes to you trying to sell their services by first telling you, hey, you don't know how to do it. You need me. You need me to help you do it. So I hope their sales process is a little different than what they're showing here in the conference call. It says they want to link human insight with programmable controls, enabling your people to compute the parts of your business that really matter. For example, Tyson Foods implemented a model that determines their optimal allocation of inventories to trucks and distribution centers and automatically decisions that by calling back into their ERP systems, and that's the ontology's webhooks. So just an example of how Palantir can help companies improve their profitability, reduce waste, increase efficiency, and these opportunities are available everywhere. I mean, every company can use some improvement in their processes. One example I can think of just off the top of my mind, I was just a couple of hours ago, I was going through Amazon's financial statements and looking at their 2022 figures. Amazon spent 501.7 billion dollars in 2022. That's how much money they spent. That was their total operating expenses. You can't tell me that Palantir can't go in there and save Amazon some millions of dollars or perhaps maybe some billions of dollars by, really digging into their business processes and seeing how they can use that data management to help them reduce some of those costs. Because if you're spending $501 billion, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a lot of waste in there. There's going to be a lot of waste in there. It's hard to be efficient and effective with that scale of spending. And so that's the big opportunity for Palantir. It's got all of those enterprises as an opportunity, as potential prospects, if it can continue delivering and improving its own service offering. Namely, if it can reduce its costs so that it can be accessible to more businesses and not just governments and very large businesses that can afford their services. All right, so that's all I've got for this earnings call deep dive into Palantir's latest results. I hope that this provides some insight into what's going on with Palantir stock. All right, as always, I truly appreciate your viewership. Thank you for watching, and I really hope I'll see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.